The rivalry between Jinny and her former PA Elizabeth, now known by her real name, Laura de Matteo, has been building for the best part of a year, and it all comes to a head this Sunday. I caught up separately with Jinny, who was kind enough to give up a little bit of her time whilst attending a charity luncheon.
I do it for the kids.
And Laura, who was actually in the process of clearing out her old office. I wanted to try and get a better idea of their shared past and their thoughts and their feelings going into what could be one of the most personal matches in Progress history. So this is presumably the office that you've spent the best part of the last 5 years in, organising just about every aspect of Jinny's life, I imagine. Now today is probably going to be the last time you step through the door of this office, and the first time you leave as Laura and not Elizabeth. How does that feel?
It's the best feeling. For that past 5 years, I was not happy. I was happy I had a job. I could, support my family, my mum. But me personally, I was not happy. I wasn't living, And so what I did endeavor, and to be here now, leaving this office for the last time, it's the best thing ever.
You talk as though there's a very clear distinction between Elizabeth and Laura. So when you first debuted at Progress as Jinny's PA, was it her idea for you to come out as Elizabeth? And if so, why do you think that was? Do you think Jinny was ashamed of you, of your past?
I never got to talk about this with her because I was even scared to ask her why. I just wanted to be myself, but I think she was just ashamed of Laura, of what I was.
No one knows what her past was. It was her fault that her past was brought up. I'm not going to go around telling everybody what her past was. She's my PA and that's all people needed to know.
So I had to go with it because I just really wanted this job, and so...
Well, if you knew where she has actually come from, of course anyone would be ashamed. But also I want to put emphasis on the name Laura. It's pretty much a very common name. Now, Elizabeth is much more regal. And I'm from Knightsbridge. I need someone who's going to be on par with the other personal assistants. I mean, I'm not Paris Hilton. She's here, I'm here. So I obviously need a PA to keep up the appearance.
So, how did you first encounter Elizabeth? Do you remember when you first met?
It was 5 years ago. I'm very good friends with Valentino. So I flew over to Milan to have an outfit made for a gala. And it's probably one of the best dresses I've ever owned, if I'm absolutely honest. It was really nice, but I've only worn it once. So she was actually working at his factory. She was a seamstress there. She would be either making the clothes, helping the designers. She was great. She was a brilliant seamstress. And that was the first time I met her. I knew when I met her she was talented, but I also knew that she was living a troubled life.
She thought I was skilled. She thought I was very skilled. And my mum was there as well. She was talking to my mum. I don't know what kind of things they talk about.
It wasn't actually until I had left the factory and I saw her mother standing outside, and her mother was begging people for money. Now, I'm not talking about these people who sit outside the most expensive restaurant on the floor begging for money. I mean, she was begging from the bottom of her heart. And I want to put this nicely. She had a habit, and that habit took over her life, and it was much more important than her children.
Yeah, as I said, I'm not too sure what the offer was about, what they talked about. All I know is that I got this offer. I know that was the best thing for me and for my family especially.
So I said to her, if you can speak to your daughter about a job with me to be my PA, I will take her to Knightsbridge. I will give her a very generous salary, but I will also give you a lump sum of money right now. And there you go.
And to be fair, whatever, I know that despite the things that Jinny said, I know that my mom really wants the best for me. So, you know, I had to...
Despite what Jinny says.
Yeah, she said a lot of things about my mom, about my family, about myself.
It might be a big decision to some mothers. It didn't seem like it was a big decision to her. She said yes straight away. Now, Elizabeth was none the wiser. So she just spoke to her mum, and I spoke to her afterwards and said, okay, so you're happy with the job offer? Great. This is what I need you to do. Will you be able to do them? And she seemed happy. So I thought, okay, great. I've got another PA. It's a little bit cheaper than what I was paying for my previous PA. So why not?
When you first debuted at Progress, I think it's fair to say that you helped Jinny gain a few wins. Was that something that Jinny asked you to do? Was that part of your job? Or was that something you took upon yourself?
She didn't really ask me to help her. We never had this conversation, like, you had to help me win this match. I think she didn't even want to admit that there was a chance she might lose the match, so she just, but I knew that it was part of my job.
In everyday life, whether I'm in the ring or going to meetings with fashion designers, it is in her best interest to make sure that my stock is up and the appearance is kept up. So if she did step in, of course she would be rewarded. But like I said, she did it because she wanted to help me. I would have won anyway.
Going back a little bit, Laura started training at the Projo before you. How did that come about? What was the reason for that?
Well, to be my PA, you're not going to just be arranging dinners, charity events, speaking events. You are going to be at my beck and call. It doesn't matter what time of day it is, you're going to do what I say. Now, I did send her to the Projo a few months before I started because I needed to make sure that it was a place that I could, first of all, train in. The people that I would be training with would be to a particular standard. I mean, if you see wrestlers nowadays, no words. That's what I'm going to say, no words. So I needed to make sure the people who would be training on the days that I would be to a particular standard, and if there were some people who were here, they weren't in the venue when I was.
We all know Jinny, how she's like. That wrestlers not really the kind of people she wants to
Associate with.
So yeah, so I had to make sure those people were good enough for her to train with. So that was just another part of my job. Obviously,
Jinny did come to train at the Projo, but you continued training as well. What was the situation there? How did that come to be?
She asked me to keep training with her because she didn't want to train with other people. If that makes sense. Like, she even used me as a punch bag. When I accepted this job, I was thinking about, being in the office, doing whatever I need to do in the office, but I was not expecting this, to be treated like that, to be used like that.
Laura started to make her name for herself as a singles competitor reasonably quickly. And as her name started to build, I think it's fair to say that your requests of her started to become a little bit more extreme. Was there a reason for that? Was it a case of trying to dish out more discipline or trying to put her in her place? What was your thinking behind those actions?
She's always going to know, even though she's not my PA, that I am her boss. I made her and I will break her. So my requests, they weren't out of the ordinary. There was something I asked her to do.
I think she was just trying to put me back in my place. She was scared that I was gonna maybe like step away from her, and she knew it might happen, but she didn't want to admit it to herself. I didn't do any of those things that she was trying to make me do, because I knew my limit. She was crossing the line, and I knew what my place was. I know she's still my boss, but I'm not doing any of the stuff that it was too much. It's just too much.
The turning point for both of you seemed to come at chapter 28 in your match against Toni Storm. Laura made it very clear that day what her feelings were, and I think it's okay to say that you didn't react to it particularly well. How did all of that make you feel?
I was really hurt. After 5 years of being my PA, I had given this woman a roof over her head, clothes, money to support herself, to support her family. She just turned her back on me like that. So I was upset, I was sad. Of course, anyone would react the way that I did. I mean, you invest so much in one person, and for them to actually do that to you, how disgusting, how rude, how hurtful. How dare they?
I know she was going to try and humiliate Toni Storm. I knew that was going to happen, and I didn't want to be part of it. I was being bullied, me and everyone else, being bullied by Jinny, and I don't want anything to do with that. And I made it very clear. Every time I came out there with Jinny, I felt the people, I felt the crowd that were trying to tell me to stand up for myself. I was feeling it every single time I went out there. And they just made me realize that enough was enough.
She had everything, absolutely everything, but she needed to be kept grounded. Now, even though I was hurt with what she had done, it was because I had given her so much. Now, she was beginning to show me a little bit of attitude, and she says, yeah, okay, fine, she quit mentally, but she didn't say those words to my face. But I needed to make sure she realised how lucky she actually was. So a black eye didn't do it, fine, I'll send you back to Italy. Not for a holiday, not to see your mum, for you to go and realise what you had before and what you have now. So I dropped her off at the airport.
I never got on that plane. I knew I had two choices. One was go back to my old life, and the second one was to stay here in London and stand up for myself, stand up to a bully. So I got a call from Pollyanna. She just wanted to give me an opportunity to show everyone what I can do. It was me, Dahlia Black, against Pollyanna, and her partner turns out to be Jinny. When I came out, the reaction from the crowd, that was the most unreal thing I've ever experienced. And I didn't know what I was going to do during the match. I had absolutely no idea what was going to happen. But that reaction, that made me realize, made me open my eyes, and I see how much people actually wanted me to stand up for myself, and that's what I did. I pinned Jinny. It was 1, 2, 3, and that was the moment that made me realize that I'm a better person than her. I'm a better wrestler than her. I'm just better.
I told her to stay in the corner, not to get in the ring, and she does that. Again, disrespect.
I was planning to apologize, and that's what I did. But I came out, it was the first time I came out as a different person. I came out for the first time as Laura, not as Elizabeth anymore. I tried to apologize to Jinny. I said, I'm sorry. I said it twice. But I knew, I was sure that was not going to be enough for her. Because she always has this need to humiliate people. She always needs to be higher than everyone else. And that's what she did to me. She asked me to apologize on my knees. That was it. I was not gonna take it anymore. I was not gonna take anything else from Jinny anymore.
For her to throw every single thing that I had done for her back in my face, that was the biggest mistake of her life.
When you step into the ring with Jinny this Sunday, one-on-one for the first time, what can we expect? What is Laura capable of that maybe Elizabeth wasn't?
I've been a fighter my whole life. Even as Elizabeth, I've always been a fighter. And I'm most definitely not scared of fighting Jinny. She doesn't know what I'm capable of. I've been training with her a lot, so I know everything about her. I know all the weakness. I know everything I need to know to be her. And you know, she's put me through so much that you can be sure that I'm out for revenge.
I'm going to destroy her. I'm going to make her realise that what she has done to me is really unacceptable. And when I say payback is a bitch, I mean it.
Jinny is one of the fiercest competitors to step into the Progress ring. Do you really believe you can beat her?
Yes.
So, having spoken to Laura today, she seems very confident that she can beat you. But for the sake of argument, if she was to beat you, what would that mean for your future?